Hey now, cats, we're back again this week on another episode of Movie Snobs. What may you ask is Movie Snobs? I mean, if you've never seen this show, shame on you. But if you have, you know, well, actually, I guess if you haven't, I should tell you a little bit about it. We,
Welcome. If you haven't seen it, welcome into the show. We love you.
yes, yeah, if you're down and we love you. Other than that, go fuck yourself. But no, if you ever never seen this show, the real quickly, this is my buddy, my ride or die, Mr. Matt Wheels Onesti. I am Balls from Elwood. And the whole concept is he likes very prestigious culture, incredible films. I like, bottom of the barrel, the lowest common denominator kind of films. And he makes me watch one of his. I make him watch one of mine. And then we discuss. And actually, sometimes, a lot of the time, we end up learning and growing and we actually kind of like each other's stuff, which is
Go figure. We're expanding our horizons as film snobs. It's kind of fascinating.
it really is. It kind of started off as like an experiment, like Mystery Science Theater almost. But I have to say, dude, I've actually become a. I'd have to say, I give you credit for making me kind of a broader horizon person, and liking things that I would have never probably given a chance. And now I'm like, I don't even think I could even imagine a world where I didn't see some of the stuff you turned me on to. So I think that alone, you know, it's very inspirational. It's like I always enjoy doing the show with you for that
We're
reason.
making each other better through insane movies. And this
Yeah,
is technically our first week now with a repeat director.
that's right. Because yeah, I actually watched Harold and Maude, and
Yeah.
I actually loved that. And I have to say, we're gonna start out this week. We're pitting. What is being there from 1988?
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a
We're
minute.
pitting the
IMDb's going.
1988. What is the director? What was Ash? Was it
Hal Ashby's. Yeah, Hal Ashby.
Al Ashby's being there versus the granddaddy of horror films, in my opinion, The Evil Dead.
1979 was being.
1979 Sam Raimi classic, The Evil Dead. So,
So
this.
same years. So Evil Dead came out in 81, being there was 79.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
being there was really 79.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Wow, I
Yeah.
thought it was later than that. Wow, it doesn't. Okay, but this week we're going to start off with being there. That was the choice that Mr. Wheels presented to me. And I'm going to start off by saying it's funny. I always have to kind of give you my outlook when I first start watching something you recommend me. And
Yeah.
it's normally always goes the same way. You recommend me a movie, I get down, I get settled, I start to watch it, and then it comes on, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna fucking like this. I'm like, this is so out of my fucking wheelhouse. I don't know how I'm gonna like it. And god damn it, by the end of the movie, I'm like, that was fucking amazing. Like it almost happens every fucking time. And it's not a slight or an insult by any means.
That is the best compliment I've ever heard.
And it happens almost every fucking time, dude. Because I'll sit there and I go, oh fuck, what the fuck is he making me watch now? And by the end of the fucking movie,
What the fuck is this slow fucking shit with these weird string sounds?
yeah, then the end of the fucking movie, I'm like, that was like fucking amazing. And I feel that way about this film too. I was a humongous fan of Harold Maude. I thought that was really, really good. And once I found out that it was another, the same director, that actually really ultimately interested me because I like that so much. And I have to say, I'm hard pressed to even tell you which one I like better because I thought this was equally as good, if not better. And I love Peter Sellers, dude. You had me at Peter Sellers, so that was your way in to begin with. And
Isn't that such a cool role too for Peter Sellers to be playing?
dude, it's I can't even tell you enough about it. Like I mean, and it's funny because on a surface level, it seems like kind of a simple character, but as the movie progresses, there is so many almost kind of different layers to that, and that's actually one of the main things I liked about it. Like in the beginning, you know, uh, was it Chauncey or I guess his real name Chance Chauncey
Yeah.
Gardner. And dude, you had me too, because I'm a sucker for mistaken identity shit. I don't care what it is, but that's a whole other fucking episode. But going in, like this is my interpretation. It seemed to me almost like he's in a perpetual state of infancy, where he's almost like very childlike,
Yeah.
and he's simple to the point where he's childlike. Not I guess that's not a bad thing, but I mean the things I like so much about this movie too is I mean I'm a sucker for character development, dude. And this is a, almost a fucking exercise in how to do incredible, character development, incredible, the acting is fucking top notch, dude. 5 out of 5. Probably one of the best acted films I think I've ever seen. I have to say, dude, I absolutely love this fucking movie, dude. By the end of the movie, I was actually like blown away. But I will say, and this is a spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen this film, I'm going to talk about the ending.
We spoil a lot. When you watch Movie Snobs, we hope that you watch the movie first and then check out the
I
episode.
had an interpretation of the ending because I did find it. That was the only part of the film I found a little confusing, and I had my own kind of thoughts and interpretations. I wanted to run it by you to see if I'm wrong, which I probably am, and I wanted to hear, the right interpretation. But you know, at the end, dude starts, walking on water, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, hmm, it's. I almost feel like this. It's surely not a religious thing. I don't think. So I'm thinking, he's such, a simple dude, like almost like childlike, that society's never taught him of things he can't do. So like he's never known that he can't fucking do that, so he did it. Like I mean, so that's probably wrong, but I mean, in my eyes, I'm like, what else could it be? So like, can you tell me?
I've never heard that. Well, for two things. One, there is no such thing as a wrong interpretation. That is if there was wrong interpretation, then I don't think art would be as powerful as it actually is.
Hmm.
Uh, your interpretation of it is one I've never heard before. So I gotta ask after this, I gotta ask some follow-up questions about how you saw the people around Chauncey and sort of the societal element of where he was surviving. Um, but that is an interesting take on this idea that um, he doesn't like that you don't know where your barriers are if you're never told them or if you're
Yeah, because
never shown them.
Yeah, because I mean, with children, I mean, they don't ever know they can't do something because unless they're told you can't do something. So I almost felt, being that it was so childlike, he never had people telling you could do this or you can't do this, or you have these norms that you face and you can't, societally you can't do things. And so I thought maybe it was kind of like an allegory for that, but I'm not
Well, it's
real
interesting.
sure.
So I'm so happy you brought up the word simplicity, because it's going to be a word that I'm even going to use a lot, like when we really start talking about the Evil Dead.
Which
'Cause
is
I
going
think
to be our next movie after this that we
yeah, that's I feel like that's going to be the through line throughout these movies is, but I see the Chauncey character almost as um, the ultimate state of innocence. And you cannot achieve that ultimate state of innocence and purity without being, I don't want to say not of this earth, but almost not tethered to what this reality is, right? But
That's why I
for
thought like
that,
childlike, because like
oh,
children kind of feel like that.
yes, but it's almost. So I saw the Chauncey character as being taken advantage of the entire movie. The thing that draws me throughout that whole movie is here is a human being so innocent, so pure, simply only wants to garden, being misused, like after the person who was taking care of him his entire life dies and he's sent out into the world is a terrifying place full of abuse. And what winds up happening is he ends up getting taken advantage of and taken, maybe not taken advantage of because the rich man was very, very kind to him and treated him very nicely and saw him
But
as a
would
genius.
they have
But
treated him like that if he was a regular person?
well, not even just that. He saw him as a commodity. The rich man saw him as, well, this guy he brings something to my life. He brings a genius to my life. He brings an economic understanding that I can go put him in front of the president. I can use him to further my political and my economic views because that's what he wound up getting used for. He's getting used by sort of the power brokers, the society who are picking and choosing who the president is, who the senators are, where's the money going to go. And they're using this person who is almost of Christ-like innocence. They're using him for their almost nefarious means to control the society around him. Because a lot of those conversations that they're having about like, how do we make the stock market work? And then they have Chauncey going on about gardening and stuff, and he's quite literally talking about gardening, but they think it's financial advice, which is hilarious. But it's the old man. I mean, that's akin to, um, sort of like one of the Koch brothers or something, like one of those guys.
Mhm.
And I guess I see that ending as sort of this. For this type of innocence to exist, it would almost have to be Christ-like, but then you have to see that that innocence is now in the hands of something that may not see it as that may not want to use it as pure. Because remember when they're even putting the money guy, the I can't I'm blanking on his name like an asshole. They're putting him in the grave. They're doing the funeral procession,
Oh, the Ben.
and while they're holding the casket, they're talking about
Yeah,
replacement.
they're deliberating and replacing them as
Yeah.
the pallbearers are actually taking them to his fucking.
So it's almost a societal piece too. So there's this side of it where you see like the superficial element, and it's almost this an even to me a cooler version of what Forrest Gump tried to do, but did it in a way that um, I don't know, it kind of feels a little more cynical, especially at the end because it winds up getting used for something that's clearly not going to be good for the people to just kind of divide us up even further.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like, I actually had thought while I was watching this film, it did make me think of kind of Forrest Gump every once in a while, and I'm like, this is almost like Forrest Gump, only not as like goofy,
Yeah.
but like,
So I'm curious, what did you think of the relationships with the money guy, with the money guy's what like one of my favorite scenes ever, like and this was fun. Like I watched this a couple months ago. I was in Columbus for something. I was in Columbus doing a show. I'm in one room, my dad's in the other. I just get done doing the show. I see Being There's on, I turn it on, I'm watching, and then all of a sudden in the other room, because he's dead, like well, he's not really dead, but he's has to turn everything up on 100 million. I hear Being There turn on in the other room. Oh shit, we're gonna watch. And like I forgot how funny that movie was. I forgot like how funny the scene is when they're having sex, like or if she wants to have sex with them, and you just keep
he
going.
starts doing the exercises on
And
top
he
of the
goes,
thing,
"I
and then
love to watch."
yeah, I laughed out loud at that shit, dude. Then she's flicking the bean on the fucking floor, and then he's like, she's like touching his leg, and then he's watching the fucking. Then he starts doing all the exercise. I laughed out loud at that, dude. There was like, it is funny too, because like this movie is actually a very funny film. Like there was times it actually made me laugh out loud, and I don't really do that a lot. Like it was yeah, Peter Sellers is pretty amazing in this. Although everybody was pretty good. It was a pretty ensemble cast. I was pretty surprised. I'm not even a big like Shirley MacLaine dude, and I thought she was really good. So I mean,
That's what makes Hal Ashby one of my favorite directors. Is he has that like because okay, so you saw Harold and Maude, and I'm happy that this was our like it. Hal Ashby being the first one that I show you like two of his movies, it's kind of intentional because like I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know which one I love more. I don't know which one of those movies. It just depends on the mood that I'm in. But for some reason, they're movies that are, they're almost 2 hours long, but you blink and they're gone and they're done. And you felt 100,000 things before the end credits even roll.
it is funny you say that, dude, because normally I see the length of a film these days, and it's that long, and I'm like, oh, it's a bummer. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
it was like just like that. I was like, the fuck, it's over. I'm like, oh shit. Like, and I felt that way with Harold Maude too. Like, it's good that you're kind of leaving and wanting more. But I mean, now you'd asked me earlier what I thought about his relationships between all the things. I think the thing that I thought was the most brilliant, and I mean, I might even be misinterpreting this too. I mean, I don't really know, but I I thought it was a good reflective mirror to just how, you know, bullshit a structure it is when you have all these like corporate elites. So like that's the brilliant part about it. When he comes in, he just the mistake in anything takes over, and they all just fucking it all just fucking it just shows you just how fucking how stupid it is.
Almost they don't know anything either.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like the whole hypocrisy of the whole thing. is brought brought to the carpet, and like I thought that was brilliant. I really really enjoyed that aspect of it too. So I mean, it was if that was an intentional thing, I thought it was really
Yeah.
really really good.
Oh, it was. It was a very, it's a very socially conscious and politically conscious piece of work. There was, I mean, that's another one of those movies that's really cool that you're going to watch a couple of times and you're going to start pulling up, you're going to start kind of picking up on different things. And I think that's what makes that movie so great as well, is the rewatchability to it. Like we always talk about, like there's movies that I've only watched once and like that's it. And I've gotten, not that I've gotten all of that can out of it, but I don't feel that Being There is one that I've watched a handful of times. Like
I could
I
revisit
see it
that
on
easily.
television, like if I see it on TMC or like it's immediately going
Yeah,
on.
if I seen that or I seen Harold Maude on TV, I would probably sit there and up watching the whole thing for sure. I mean, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything I got. I again, you shockingly again, man, you cultured this swine. So I
It's
mean,
so exciting. And it's cool because those movies, I know exactly what you're talking about in the beginning because the beginning starts off so it feels like it starts off so like I know we just got done saying you snap your finger and it's over, but when you turn on that movie, I know the feeling that you're talking about where you're like, "Oh my God, what is this going to be?" Because it's
I said that out loud. I'm like, what the fuck is he making me watch? Like seriously. Like I almost do that every time though, and then I end up being wrong every time. And I love being wrong because, dude, like I said, you've turned me on to so many different things I would never have in a million fucking years ever watched on my own, and I've ended up loving so much. In fact, I would own pretty much most of the stuff that you've made me watch.
Well, dude, that's one of the most beautiful things about movies, and maybe one of the best transitions into us talking about the movie that you gave me,
Mhm.
Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead, because it's almost like you watch a movie or you hear about something and you think to yourself, how have I been missing this? Like, how have I not
Oh, I get
come
that.
across this. The Evil Dead is cool. We're gonna work backwards. Like, I think the most interesting thing about The Evil Dead and my experience with The Evil Dead is the fact that I met Tom Sullivan with you before ever seeing The Evil Dead or
Yeah,
being
that
around.
kind of blew me away, dude. When I
Like,
first heard that you've never.
it was so strange, like, because this is where I kind of realized that we met Tom Sullivan, and I'm sitting there, he's leafing through the Necronomicon with me and showing me his artwork, and I'm so blown away by this, and I just remember like looking at it and thinking to myself, holy fuck, what kind of world am I missing out on? Like, this seems so cool, and like when I finally watched the movie. Um, Balls, this is the first movie that you've given me where I've watched it twice. Speaking of movies where I don't watch a lot of things like back to back, I watched this movie twice before we did this. So
Wow, dude.
watched it a couple weeks ago, and then we had some time, and then I watched it again, because I just felt like I had to see it again. I was so fascinated by it. It was weird. Like on my second watch, I realized like this might be about as close to a perfect movie as you can get. And I'm kind of convinced that if I watch it a third time, I'm going to probably convince myself it might be a perfect movie because it's like, it's a sandbox story in a way that like it doesn't waste any moments. Like
Oh,
every single moment of that, like every single frame of that movie, I'm realizing there's some meaning being put into it. Like until the second watch through, like I really didn't notice the eyes. Like there was parallel cinematography, there was parallel camera shots going on, like from the beginning to the end with Bruce Campbell and oh my God, his girlfriend. I can't remember the girlfriend's name. Again, watched the movie twice. I have terrible memory. Um, but they mimic the shots from when he's pretending to sleep and gonna present her the necklace, the eyes to the eyes, and then that's mimicked again, like at the end when she's, a zombie bitch ready to fucking kill him. Like I missed that sort of the first time around. I remember watching it the first time being like, this movie, like the first time I watched it, I was like, this movie is fucking sick. Like this is a cool movie. I really, really like it. It was a lot of blood, guts, gore. I never thought that I would feel squeamish seeing milk shooting out of people. For some reason, I was like, how do you even cut? Like, that's such an insane fucking decision as a director to just be like, we're gonna go from using blood to a lot of blood, and we're just gonna start shooting fucking milk out of the orifices. And it's like, that's disgusting. Um, so my first like go through on it, it was like, yeah, this is a really fucking cool movie. And then the second go through, it's like, wow, this is a tight, fucking well-made, holy shit cinematography. Like there were transitions they were doing that I was catching on the second one where like Bruce Campbell's like kind of jumping over the camera, and then as he's jumping over the camera, it's moving and it's like it's creating such a cool cut to a doorway, and it's like, holy fuck, that's how they hid that. It's like, holy fuck, that's how like it created such a weird feeling, and I'm realizing like, god damn, like the editing, the cinematography, like it was all so intentional. And I thought that was so fucking cool for how little resources he had. And like, okay, I don't, I, we, before we were recording, we kind of talked about this. Um, we were talking about simplicity earlier too. This is such a cool, simple story, but happening on such a larger, like the special effects, the way the camera's moving, all like, but it's very clearly being done with so little resources. And I'm watching this wondering to myself, like, I don't think a movie like this can be made anymore. I don't know if, and I don't even mean to sound like a dick. I'm saying this as a challenge, hopefully, because it inspired me. I don't know if filmmakers have the fucking ingenuity that Sam Raimi had when he was making this movie to make that vision come alive. Like, putting horror aside and putting like just watching the type of movie that was made and then reading about how it was made with little money and what they had to do, that's the most inspiring shit ever that should tell you if you have a story and you have an idea, just fucking make it. Just go and make the story.
It's funny you say that, dude, because I know a lot of friends of mine that'll be like, they won't try to make anything because they're waiting around for that, perfect budget, or they're waiting around for all the moons and stars and shit to align. Never gonna fucking happen, dude. Like, if you're gonna if you do it and it doesn't ends up not working out, you don't like it. I mean, at least you tried, like you did it. But like, that opportunity, if you wait for it's never gonna arise. I mean,
Well, and that's so like when I'm watching it, like I'm seeing the shots where they're just running like where it seems like the camera's just floating through, and I'm thinking to myself like this is 1979. Like what are you like how are you pulling this off? Like what? And then I'm reading about it afterwards. Like yeah, they just fucking attached a camera to a fucking 2x4,
yeah,
and
that's
Sam
where
and Bruce
Sam Cam
Campbell,
was invented.
yeah, and they're just running through like they're just running through the forest
Yeah,
with the
dude, he
camera.
invented a fucking a
Yeah.
camera style. Like, I
And I'm
mean,
thinking to myself, it's like, well, fuck, like that same shot now, some fucking like I'm guilty of this too. Like, if I'm thinking about how am I gonna pull off that shot, my fucking dumbass brain was gonna go to, oh, I guess I gotta get a fucking drone. Ah, I guess I gotta learn how to fly a drone through a forest. And it's like, no, like there are ways, essentially just using gum and tape, that you can just do whatever it is you want to do and then wind up with a masterpiece that is still blowing people's minds like
yeah, dude, and
40
it's
years
fun.
later.
That's a great point you brought up, dude, because I remember when I was a lad, a wee lad, many, many moons ago, 'cause I'm an old fuck, but people that movie, believe it or not, was for a long time on a quote unquote video nasties list, and it was banned in many countries.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I mean,
Now, if you fast
there's
forward
a
to
comical amount of
2025,
blood.
dude, it's one of the biggest fucking phenomenons in horror history. So, I mean, it's weird how, over time
And it's
things.
not even just from the aesthetic, like, and I think that's what's cool about it because I always try and figure this out whenever you give me a horror movie, I want to look beyond the aesthetics because it's what brings me into movies. Like no one is telling a story just because I want to show cool special effects. They're genuinely trying to tell some sort of story, or here's a problem that I'm having, or here's an emotional thing. And it's like I'm watching this, I'm like, this is a really funny allegory for what it feels like to share a cabin with friends. You know what I mean? Like the most extreme version of that. You know, obviously sharing a cabin with friends is going to ruin any relationship you have. Nobody cares about how awful the fucking cabin is, you know, until you start getting bitten up by the flies and nobody wants to fucking leave until they're getting hit by the mosquitoes. Except in this case, it was fucking demons.
I'm
And I
gonna
thought that was
really,
fucking
really wet
cool.
your whistle too, dude, because there's times where I can't decide whether two or one is the better film.
I'm excited. I gotta watch the next. I was gonna try if I had a little bit more foresight and wasn't a procrastinating asshole. I was gonna try and finish all of these before, but I opted to watch The Evil Dead twice as opposed to
I think
moving
that was
on
a
to
good
the second
move.
one.
But yeah, dude, there's days I wake up and I've considered, and it'll always be the Evil Dead franchise will always be my favorite. It's been my favorite since I was a kid. It's been my favorite since I was an adult. I consider it the granddaddy of a perfect horror film. But that being said, there's days I wake up and I'm like, I don't know, man, two's really fucking good too. Like, I mean, it's like yeah, I have that, and a lot of people feel that way. But like, I mean, ultimately, I think the first one, if you're going for, you know, sheer terror. The first one's probably that, but
The terror with it when I was like, I'm watching, I was like, this is even cool because it's like it's pushing form. And the one of the first things I noticed was like it's setting up jump scares and then never giving you the jump scare when you're supposed to get the jump scare. And
yeah,
that was
dude, I
like
know
it
it does a
was
great job of of you never know when it's coming. Like, I mean,
it was like jump scare blue balls.
yes, yes, I mean,
And then
that's
you get
yeah.
hit with it and you're like, fuck, what the fuck?
But yeah, dude, did you ever like a movie so much that you wish you had never seen it before, so you could have that feeling of
Yeah.
surprise that you know when you see it again? I wish I could go back and relive these movies for the first time because they're just that brilliant. So I mean, and I know I seen the third one in the theater, and it was a big flop at the time, and now it's like one of the biggest cult movies in history. So it's like yeah, I don't understand how that happens, but dude, my heart couldn't be fuller that you appreciate and you get and you love The Evil Dead. So I
Well,
mean,
it's great. Like, and this is one of my favorite ones of like I don't know how like I and this is a really fun example of like the crazy gaps that I have in my movie knowledge, especially when it comes to horror stuff. But like this is one that I genuinely have no idea how I've never consumed this. I
it
mean,
is interesting, dude, because
maybe
I
I've seen
mean,
clips,
it's
but like maybe it's been on in the house and stuff, but like I genuinely have no idea how I never consumed this movie in my 28 years. Like it's kind of
I
crazy.
mean, it's almost unavoidable at this time. I remember
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I had to find this VHS tape at this little mom and pop video store, and I would rent it almost like my mom would get so sick of it, dude, because I would rent it probably 4 or 5 times a week.
Well, I think that's what made me feel bad when we like, you know, where I'm sitting there holding the Necronomicon and the fucking like, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I am the asshole in this situation. That's all I can think of myself. Like, I am the piece of shit who did not do his homework and needed to see this movie before I even had the privilege of holding these things in my hand.
But I mean, on the other hand, though, dude, it might have piqued your interest to the point where it made you more, interested in going in depth and seeing it. So, I mean,
I think
that's
what made like I was so blown away by the detail in it because like when I'm holding it, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be like a really, really huge part of this movie. Like it's gonna be like, you know, like every one of these things is gonna and maybe the further movies like go deeper into it or whatever. But like as I'm like we're leafing through this and I'm seeing the actual drawn artwork, um, I'm like, there's so much detail being put in that I'm watching the movie and it's really not focused on that much, but there's so much detail put into every little piece of the set, of the designs, of the fucking, of the, like of the book that's created, of the knife and the skulls. Like there's so much little design and it's not even, it's almost made to be normal. And that to me is what makes a great movie. That you're
yeah, dude,
spending
that
so much
movie would not have
time.
been the same without Tom Sullivan. Like
No, not
it
even
really
close.
wouldn't have, dude. Like he is such a component of that film, and I hope people realize that. I
The
mean,
special effects of that, the designs, the art, like it absolutely just blew me away and just blew away. Like I don't know, like that's to me set such a cool standard for what just movies in general can be. Like this, I and that again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but like that was one of those inspiring movies that got me to kind of go yet again. Fuck, you can make whatever you want to make. You just have to want to make it. If you don't want to make something, you're not gonna fucking make it. You're gonna piss around and go, I need money, I need fucking like if you really want to make something, seemingly that's inspiration to you can just go and do it. Go and do what you need to do.
Yeah, dude, he's probably the most inspirational figure in that respect. Because I mean, if you, it sounds like you've read all the stuff about that. And you've seen every roadblock that happened, everything that stopped them from making that movie, and they just kept soldiering on and soldiering on. And dude, here we are. It's a cultural phenomenon. How many years later? So I mean, dude, there's like people like there's like seven, 7-year-olds that know what the fucking Necronomicon is now. I mean, it's so crazy to me, dude. When I was a kid, it was kind of a taboo thing, and now, you know, between the series and all they probably have fucking Evil Dead underoos at this point. I mean,
Well, didn't they? I mean, I saw they made, which, side note, because I know we're going to be wrapping up here in a second.
mm.
But I know they made like I accidentally bought or I accidentally rented the Evil Dead remake. Instead of when I initially watched it, I decided I was going to use voice, on my remote to order it. And it ordered me the remake. And I remember being so angry, I almost wasn't going to watch the original one that day, but I powered through it. It was the best decision I ever made. But yeah, there's a reality balls where I accidentally watched the remake, and this conversation is a lot different.
Oh, so you didn't watch the remake?
No, I didn't. I did. I
I
just
could
thought
do a,
I
I
lost
could
the
I could do a
movie.
whole show about how much I hate the remake. And it's not a very popular opinion either because people seem to love it and they suck its balls because
Yeah.
there's some really great fucking, horror effects and gore effects, and that to me is not a good horror film. So
Yeah, but okay, so was it like when you say horror effects and gore effects, was it using like digital special effects? Because to me,
no, I mean there was a mix of both, and I
okay,
normally love that director too. I love Fede Alvarez. I like everything he's did but that. But there to me, my biggest problem with it is, I think I'm not a big remake fan to begin with, but I can
right?
admit when they make a good one because I have seen ones that I think are very good and they're few and far between. But I mean, real quick, I think the I Spit in Your Grave remake's great. I think Last House on the Left was decent. I think there's a couple like I think they're really well done. That being said, when you're making a remake, you still have to have like some semblance of the original story. I think it's just so it tried to be so, you know, too much of its own thing and too kind of, I mean, I don't want to use the term woke because like I think that's a dumb bullshit term to
Yeah.
begin with, but they made it, not only that, it's a movie that break I hate movies that break their own rules. They establish these rules in it and then they talk to me. It's almost like they talk down to the audience because they think horror movie fans are so dumb they're not going to pay attention and they won't catch it. And you
And
know,
that's the subtle, and that's what drew me to the original. So you're turning me off from watching it, but now I'm curious because that is what drew me to what I just saw and why I watched it kind of twice in a row is like there is just such little details that like I'm so happy it wasn't spoon-fed to me because it gave me this genuine feeling of like I gotta watch this fucking thing again.
I'll give you the one of the things that annoys me the most. They get everybody to this cabin in the woods because they're having a drug intervention with their friend.
It's so unnecessary.
It is. I never felt more pandered to and talked down as a horror fan watching this film. And like it bothers me. And like I said, they go through painstaking lengths to create this mythos, and then at the end they completely fucking throw it out the window, and it doesn't even add up and make sense at all.
Yeah.
And I'm I mean, when you're making a remake to essentially, to me, the best fucking horror film ever made, it doesn't, and it seems very mean spirited too. And the original was not. I mean, it just seemed really mean spirited for no reason. And I mean, it almost seems to me like a movie that's like, wow, we got these great set pieces. let's get from this set piece to this set piece to this set
I
piece.
think
Like
the only mean-spirited part of the Evil Dead that I saw was when the blonde fucking 80s dude was just hacking up his fucking girlfriend. Just without even a fucking second thought. Just chops her into a billion pieces.
even that's like so
Fuck her, I'm
campy. It's
gone.
not really serious. Like I mean it is, but it isn't. But like, yeah, it's just so I don't know, dude. Like it just seems like we have all these great kills, and then like, there's no story. There's a very semblance threadbare story built around it. Like the thing I love the most about Evil Dead and pretty much that whole franchise is, and like you had said earlier, I think the biggest point I can make about why I love this franchise so much is it doesn't take tons of money to tell a story. And like some of the worst horror films ever made are ones that they don't give a fuck about story. They just throw that out the window and they think you can make a movie where you just run around and kill people and people will just, think it's a great flick, which a lot of the time people do. But that to me is not, I was raised on
It doesn't
atmosphere.
last.
I'll take
See, that kind of
storytelling
stuff,
atmosphere over gore any day of the week.
you can like that stuff is cool, but momentarily, it's not going to live on forever. Like
Exactly.
it's gonna have a lasting
The
effect.
reason why Evil Dead is so popular now is it's a simple, but it's a really fucking cool story.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then as you progress, the story gets even better. So like you'll see like that's it's Raimi's always been an incredible storyteller, not even just in horror, but like he's did great dramas, he's did great, action movies, he's did pretty much everything, but he's always been an incredible storyteller. That's why he's great pretty much no matter what he does. So like I mean that's why I think Evil Dead's lived on this long because you can't you could tell a great story and then even back in the old days when people tell stories around campfires and you still hear that shit now. I almost liken it to that because a great story is never going to die. It's always going to get passed on. That's why I think Evil Dead's so great.
Balls, this was another amazing episode, and I love how all of these movies we want like you and I are kind of giving each other random movies a lot of the time,
I
and
was
they
just going to touch on that
and
before
they
we have to
wind
go,
up
dude, but they
being
always
perfect.
end up being good companion pieces
Yep.
somehow. And I know people watching this probably think we plan it that way, and we never
So
do. It just kind of fucking happens. And oddly enough, these two movies actually were a pretty good fit together, oddly enough. But
flip a coin depending on what you're feeling. Watch one first and watch the other one next.
yeah, absolutely, man. But again, I feel like we had another great episode, homie. And if anybody even checks either one of these movies out, I think it's a success. So always good seeing you, homie. I always
Let
love
us know
doing
what
this
you
with
think in the
you.
comments. Like and subscribe. I don't know. Be kind to each other. Who fucking knows? Or don't. Beat the shit out of each other. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, either way, I'm good with either.
I love you, balls.
I love you too, homie. Until next time, this is Wheels and Balls, and we are the Movie Snobs. So.